Okay, hi everybody. Today I'm going to talk about three things. First, we'll start with exploring the size of customer churn problem in Australia, just to show that it is worth our attention. Next, we'll look at how prediction AI tells us precisely who is going to leave, but that alone doesn't solve anything. And the third thing I'll talk about today is how treatment combined with a few behavioural hacks actually saves customers. So hopefully you'll go away with some of those hacks and be able to apply them. So how big is the customer churn problem? Australian energy retailers are churning around 20 to 25% of their customers annually. So to put that in perspective, if we didn't replace any customers, in 4 to 5 years we wouldn't have any. So that's how significant it is. And effectively what we're doing is tipping customers into a leaky bucket. And it's leaking profit, it's wasting resources, both of which we know are in short supply right now. But it does nothing, churn does nothing for our reputation, so none of this is good. So let's look at some of the numbers. There's about 10 million households in Australia who are spending roughly $1,300 a year. We're looking at just electricity here. And the replacement cost is around, per customer, is around $350. It varies across the states, but that's roughly what it is. Now, businesses look at this in two ways as a cost. So either when the customers churn, you're looking at that $1,300 per customer churning at 20 to 25%, it's around $3 billion a year in Australia is churning in revenue. Another way of looking at it is, and the accountants in the room might say, well, it's simple, Libby, we just replace those customers. So to replace those customers, it's around $800 million a year that we're spending in Australia to replace churned customers. But there's other benefits to keeping customers happy. Happy customers, they complain less, so they cost us less to serve. They're less price sensitive, and we all know how good that is. They tell their friends about us, so it increases our NPS, improves our NPS. And best of all, they don't churn. This picture shows really what's happening month by month, the seesaw of customer churn. So the customer numbers are staying pretty flat in this example, but customers each month are churning and new ones are brought on to replace them, and then churning and brought on to replace them. So pretty much what happens is the business reports the net number. So it might say the net numbers, and we see the net numbers each month looking pretty flat. But if we started reporting the churned and the acquired, we'd really see how much work a business is doing, as we say here, pedaling fast just to stay still. And it doesn't take very much to change the growth trajectory. You know, churn reduction can be your new growth strategy. If you can reduce churn just by a little bit each month and get the net numbers up each month, then we really are making such a difference. And we're pedaling, as it says there, for growth at last. So how do we go about it? Churn prediction is the starting point, and there's quite a few providers that will offer churn prediction out there, so you probably have heard of some yourselves. It uses AI and the collection of your data, but how does the AI actually see a customer? Signals are collected from right across your business. So we're collecting signals from every aspect so that it's representative of every customer experience in your business, not asking them their opinion, but collecting the data that represents their experience. So we collect from the CRM, contact centre, billing system, operations, marketing and product. And the data's constantly changing and the AI is analysing and constantly learning. A side story here, I was talking to one marketing executive who was telling me that their contact centre vendor could provide speech analytics and AI on the speech analytics so that all calls in the call centre, callers could be assessed to see whether they were likely to churn or not. And that this vendor was promising 95% accuracy on those customers that were contacting the call centre. And then when I asked them, well, what proportion of your customer base contacts you each year? They said, oh, that'd be about 5%. So there is the danger in taking data only from one silo or one part of your business to measure churn. You really must, with any churn prediction solution, collect data from as far and wide in your business as possible. Now, no one's data is clean, and it doesn't matter how messy, disjoint, broken or duplicated it is. You know, we have a lot, everyone thinks their data's the worst, and usually, when we're talking to people, they say, oh yeah, you can do it for everybody else, but you have no idea the mess that our data's in. Well, that's our secret sauce, that's our 30 years of working in corporate Australia IT. We can manage the data no matter how messy it is. So now that we have collected this data from right across the business, training the AI for prediction, we're training it on how to recognise a churner. So basically how it's done is active customer data is fed to the AI as well as churned customer data. And what the AI is looking for is for when these active customers, you can see them glowing in some pink there, when they start to take on attributes of the churned customers, that triggers alerts. And these customers are then deemed to be at risk. Now, you must take action quickly when you know that they're at risk and treat them with treatment plans, otherwise they end up churned like the rest of them. So what we've got after we've got churn prediction AI is a list that accurately tells us which customers are at risk of churning. And now what we need to do is retain them. So how do we retain them? We retain them by developing treatment plans suited to those individual customers. So we've got treatment plans that customers are allocated to, and those treatment plans are designed to retain them. But there's a couple of problems from here. How do we get that message effectively to the customer? How do we cut through the noise? We all know with marketing it's hard enough to try and get in contact with customers and get them to read our messages. But how do we do this with service? And this is where a behavioural neuroscientist comes in. We have one of those in the room today. Has anybody heard of this saying, don't poke the bear? This is a saying that relates to the fear that large companies have about contacting their customers. And there's good reason for it. Because a lot of our existing comms, whether we like it or not, it comes across to the customer as negative. And when you think about what the majority of that is, it's either marketing messages, so it's more about us, or it's operational. Your bill is here, it's past due, rate rise notices potentially. So no wonder customers are sceptical about our motives. When we contact them, we've trained them to be sceptical and trained them to be that way. I was in a contact centre last year with some agents calling customers with retention treatment messages, and I was surprised to see that most of the customers were answering the phone with scepticism. They assumed that we were chasing them for money or that something else had gone wrong. So we can understand that there's a fear of contacting customers but we believe that can be changed. And an important point to note is that retention is service and service is not marketing. And retention activity is something new for energy retailers to be doing. And we need to make retention treatment part of our program of comms. Just in the same way as we have a program of marketing, we should have a program of retention. Now, customers come to us for price. We know that. And they come to us for some other promises that would be made at the time of the sale. But the reasons that customers stay are quite different. And you've all got this research. I've just summarised some of the key sort of points that repeat themselves. And we know that customer service is right up there. Now, customer service is the key thing that our customers stay for, but good service is difficult until now. Like really, if you now know which customers are individually, who's at risk of leaving, reaching out to them with service this is a game changer for energy retailers. You really can now deliver the service that the customers that need you require. So what do we need to do to reach out to at-risk customers? Their day's busy. We know, I think I've heard the statistic that our customers think of us for maybe 7 minutes a year or something, something like that, their energy retailer. So how do we get through to them? You know, we need to cut through the noise in their busy day. And think of a scenario, you're walking down the street and someone yells out your name. You know, you stop, and what do you feel like? You turn around and you're open and ready to hear what they've got to say. You know, we want the customers that we're talking to feel like that when we reach out with messages. We want them to feel like they're talking to me. You know, I'm alert and I've stopped my day and I'm ready to hear the message. We do need to overcome their scepticism about us. We need to be genuine in our offer of service, checking in to see that you're okay. And that's a tough one because quite often we like to throw in something about us, but we shouldn't do that. It must feel to the customer as though we really are authentic, and we need to consider it from the customer's side. You know, what's in it for me? What's in it for their side? From their side. So these are some hacks that we've used over time, and from the help of our behavioural neuroscientists, to cut through. The first lesson is do not repurpose marketing material. When a customer is on the ledge, the last thing that they need to hear about is us, or any more about us. And use you, not us. And a good exercise that you can do here is, in any comms that you're writing, count the number of yous versus the number of us in your comms, and that'll give you a sense of whether you've got the balance right. Now, we need to create a plausible excuse to get cut through, and we do that with context or content that's relevant to them now. So when we do that and get it right, they stop, they listen, they're open, they recognise that the message is for them and not for the entire customer base, and that it's about their service, something relevant to their specific situation, and yep, they feel that's me, that this is relevant, you have my attention. And the message must be genuinely service related and create authenticity, a feeling of convey authenticity. So we can't start talking about a new feature on our customer portal just while we're trying to help them out. You know, we really do need to keep this comms relevant to service and checking in with them. And the call to action must be low effort. We can't finish the comms with call our call centre if you need any more assistance, or send us an email, or, you know, we've got to be a little bit more innovative about those service messages. You know, in an SMS, reply yes if you'd like us to call you, or click here to make an appointment for a call. And we've got to keep in mind with all of this that our objective is to create a plausible excuse for these customers to get their attention, interrupt them without them feeling sceptical, and we want them to feel that they can trust our message and feel our authenticity, and effectively cut through the noise in their busy day, give them a reason to stop. So how do each of you bake your business flavours into these treatment design? You use your customer segmentation to help you design the treatment. So there'll be different types of messages for customers at risk in the different segments. You obviously convey your brand strategy through the design of the messages, and the all-important customer insights that will also help you group those customers that are at risk up and create treatment and customer retention messages. And also a key component of it is the specific customer circumstance. What do I mean by that? You can have treatment design. So we all know that there's some customers will be at risk of churning in their early tenure. So you'll create a message that's relevant to them being relatively new to you. So you could give them a special white glove onboarding treatment that you would normally, you've had that shelved away, you haven't run it because it's been too expensive perhaps to use for your entire base. Well, you would use that as a welcome onboard treatment for at-risk customers whose tenure's 1 to 2 months or something like that. Or if someone's recently contacted you and they're at risk, you might reach out and say, hey, Libby, notice that you've contacted us recently. Was everything resolved to your satisfaction? Call us or click here if you'd like us. Reply yes for us to call you, or reply yes for us to call, no for us that you're okay, yes for, yeah. We do that every time we're designing one, try and work through the logic. But yes, so you try to bake specific customer circumstance, because the main thing that happens in the customer's mind is that, yes, that is me, it does apply to me. I'm either new here, or yes, I did recently call, or it could be a happy anniversary, or it could be something about a particular product they've bought, or there could be something that's specific to a customer segment. So that's it. Wrapping up, I hope that I've conveyed this, that retention is a strategy that's viable now. The AI can tell you who is going to leave with accuracy, but that prediction alone isn't the key, that tech alone isn't the key. You need to take action to retain those customers, and that behavioural hacks with your own business flavours baked in are the way to cut through to reach the at-risk customers. And I was going to say drop by the Smart Measure stand, but I guess that's really all over now, isn't it? But if you want my contact details, you can email me with questions. I'd love to hear your stories. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Got a couple of minutes if there are any questions that you would like to ask. Yeah?
Just a question on who you think does this really well, either in energy or another category.
Okay, and use the mic so that the people...
I don't know who's doing it really well. It really is new, David. It's not something, and I think the key thing was for us to come to realise that we needed a behavioural neuroscientist to get on our side to help us develop those treatments, because, we started with prediction AI and pretty soon realised that that doesn't mean anything. You actually need to deliver the ROI, you've got to save the customers. So that's when we engaged a behavioural neuroscientist to say, give us a dump, help us, work with us on how we create treatment messages that actually cut through. And every word counts. We've had treatments where we've been giving away vouchers not perform as well as some really cleverly worded retention messages giving away nothing. So we know, and the way that we've measured it in the past is we set up control groups to measure the performance of one versus the other, so that we know for sure that how the treatment's performing. And we don't get it right every time, but retrospect, you've got 20/20 vision, haven't you? So when we look at them, we say, well, perhaps we made it too hard for them to contact us, or perhaps it wasn't really a clear message, or perhaps we snuck a bit of marketing stuff in, or we'll count the yous or us's in there and realise that it was really in our favour, not theirs. So we don't get it right every time, but we learn so much with each design and every time, and as we're delivering. I don't know, David, who's doing it really well. Terence.
Yeah, maybe we have a slide there on why customers stay, right? So we have customer service and billing and Australian owned and Australian contact centers. So my question is, some of those things can't change in a frequent plan, right? So you say that you're going to change your billing system overnight, or ownership, you can't change that.
Yep.
So how does that translate into retention or frequent plan?
The question is, we've said why people stay. How does that feed into the retention plan? And some of them you really can't change. So if they're looking for an Australian company, owned company, and it's not, well,
What do we do?
Yeah, what do you do about it?
The main point with that slide was that if a customer's not happy with you, they're the things that they'll say that they're not happy about. But if a customer's happy with you because you service them and you reach out when it's needed, they don't come up. We know that those things don't come up if a customer's happy. They come up as a reason to leave, but the aim here is to reach out, treat those customers when it's needed so that they feel the love and they feel that you think that they're more than a number. And then none of those things matter. No one cares who the owner is if they're being serviced right and they feel like they're not just a number with you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks,
Thank you.
David. So.